1, 2, 3. Cocks don't poppy, oh, poppycock, cocks do poppy by 4. And that's why all the folks on poppycock keep poppycocks in a jar. But once I met a girl on poppycock back in the poppycock hills, they won't let me back on poppycock, reckon they never will. Well, poppycock, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old poppycock, poppycock, you and me, Rose and Baldini. The earth don't spin at all on poppycock, flatter than a hot roadkill. And beer don't stick to balls on poppycock, reckon it never will. Once I met two folks on poppycock, one bald, the other likes cats. She wild as a rosy, quicker than a satellite, no poppycock about that. Well, poppycock, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old poppycock, poppycock, you and me, Rose and Baldini. Take it, Trey. Sheep don't like to block on poppycock, ain't no poppycock pins. You might just find yourself on poppycock, waking with a poppycock kin. And poppycock, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old poppycock, poppycock, you and me, Rose and Baldini. Why so freaking early? Poppycock, you and me.
Oh. Thank you, Trey Clark. Appreciate that. Welcome, everybody, to a little CockyPop morning. This is I think the last time you'll have to deal with just me for a while. The lovely Rose 777 is going to be back on Thursday. She actually made it, her and Jason made it back from their encounters with Florida Man overnight, but it was quite late, and so she's sleeping in this morning. I hope she gets some much-needed rest after that wild adventure they had, and can't wait to see the results. They were doing principal photography for an upcoming documentary with our friend and colleague and stand-up guy and brilliant MIT grad, Dr. Andrew Kaufman. So talking about the poppycock that's all around us right now. And there sure is a lot of that poppycock, and we'll get into that in just a moment. I thought I had the lovely and talented Karen B lined up to join us this morning to put a little estrogen back in the stream. I had Ceiling Fan Man with me last time, and we had a delightful chat, and everyone seemed to enjoy that. And hey, good morning, Joe Ray. So, but I have not yet seen Mrs. Karen this morning, so I assume that she's sleeping in and getting ready for Flatoberfest, and that is coming up this weekend. Couldn't be more excited about that. Coming up October 24th, that's this Saturday, Greenville, South Carolina, at Ground Zero for Poppycock, the Shriners Convention Center. So that'll be a lot of fun. We'll go right into the belly of the beast and just throw a bunch of good intentions down at them and mess them all the hell up. So there'll be a variety of presenters, me not among them. I'm just going to be presenting some coffee, perhaps a bit of noodling here and there. I know Trey Clark is coming. He's the performer of the CockyPop, the Poppycock theme song you hear every morning. He's a talented musician and he's got a sophomore sense of humor. He's been kicked off Facebook more than almost anybody except for Informally Hip. She's in all kinds of trouble. You guys. Woo! All righty then. Well, again, hey, just want to say good morning to everybody real quickly. Flat Accord Music, loving your tunes. If you haven't checked it out, go see Flat Accord Music's channel. He's got some delightful throwback type music recorded on an actual 4-track cassette recorder way back in the day. That's how we used to do it for songwriting, and he's doing a great job with that. So it's a Truther Troubadour. So make sure and check some of that out. Ted Summer, can't wait to get together with you and Zach and Cami and Bob and the whole gang out there. Just super geeked for that. Nachiketa, wish you were with us and joining us. It would be great to see you there as well. In fact, all the folks. I know Mark said he had some issues with taking your kids, and they're going to have to self-quarantine because we're not wearing masks. What the hell? Oh, dear. It's it is a nutty world out there, certainly. And, oh, gosh. Let's see. What's going on with, we've got this, well, let's see. Let's skip over here. Of course, with the whole Cranani and nonsense going on, of course, you're going to see a lot more of this type of poppycock. Here we've got a 33-year-old. Nothing to see here. Don't look at that. A coronavirus denier with 1.1 million followers dies of the creeping crud. And these stories will continue. So again, they're all pretty much written the same way. Guitar Bear, welcome from the UK. So yeah, you're going to see more and more of these stories. We've highlighted some for you, but you can just get a whole list of them here. We've got coronavirus denier loses more family to COVID-19. People who lose their whole family. Yet in the real world, nobody knows anybody who knows anybody who knows anyone who's actually died of this. Now, people have died with it, and certainly it's always tragic to lose a loved one. But insofar as we can tell, there actually has been no one who, as a primary cause, motorcycle accident, COVID. But you have now list after list of folks who apparently were these deniers. Former Nashville official who publicly doubted COVID-19 dies of the virus. Unlikely. Former Nashville councilman, he dies. Because they don't believe it, right? Boy. And all these deniers journey from dismissing to getting sick and spreading coronavirus. The deniers grow more vocal in Bosnia, even as nation counts it's dead. Nevertheless, we do have. Hey, Karen, that's fine. If you want to just wave at me, if you want me to just pop you in, I'd love to have you. Feel free to join us. I would love to have you here. Anyway, but I'll continue. Let's see. So we might have Karen B. Join us here in a moment. All right. So anyway, we have all these supposed corona deniers. Who suddenly get sick and die. So don't you dare deny it. It'll kill you. It'll sneak up and kill you. Yes, so we have the primary news that I saw overnight was, a Russian guy in Canada, because of those pesky Russians, who denied it. And look at how healthy that guy was. 33 years old. And died of the Cranani. Here we have 10 people died after every single resident of a Kansas nursing home got the Cranani. Again, what are the odds of that? Faulty PCR test that doesn't actually test for it? Sure. If you don't like the outcome of the data, change the data. Yeah, okay, it's good stuff. So you guys all know about this, but what's really sad, I was actually... I was watching a video from UAP. Those of you who don't know, he's a great contributor to our community, unappreciated actual physicist. He's a humorous guy, fellow musician, and he put up a video yesterday, and he just had some clips of a variety of things, and it literally made me weep when I saw this. It was the beginning of it. He really didn't even say much for most of it. The first half of it or so was just him playing these videos of back to school videos and what they're teaching the kids to underrated. Yeah, underrated. Did I say unappreciated? Underrated actual physicist. Anyway, so the back to school videos with little songs and everything to indoctrinate our kids to this being normal, including if you, so they go to school now, and instead of course, having a homeroom and then changing classes and all the hallways, they must walk 6 feet apart, of course, only on the right side of the hallway, depending on their direction. They stay in the same room all day long. The teachers change, including lunch. They don't get to go out for lunch at all. And if they have to go to the restroom, of course, they must get permission and then check in with somebody at the door who then puts them in their online security transit monitoring document as they go to the bathroom. Then someone there checks them in when it's their turn. When they get done, they come out and check in again with the security folk and then are monitored all the way back to the classroom. So if that doesn't set you up for constant surveillance as a normal, quote, thing, it literally made me weep. And I was actually going to show a little bit of it this morning, risking copyright strikes because it seemed important enough. But before I could get to it, I came to look it up this morning and couldn't find it in the original search. Went back to the history, and the video is now unavailable as usual. And again, he was just presenting their their own data. So you can't do that. Just as much as they don't want parents listening in on teachers who are doing remote teaching via Zoom and that sort of thing, because who knows what you might find watching them brainwash your children. So we got that, which is nice. Karen, for the link, I don't even use StreamYard. If you just want, I'll just dial you in. So if you're ready, I just said just wave in the Skype chat when you're ready, and then I'll just call you. How about that? We'll just put you in right now. So there we go. Anyway, so not only mask wearing, and they're one of the parts of the song said that you're going to look weird. You're going to be shamed if you don't wear a mask. I wanted to punch somebody. Really, what the fuck, man? This is bullshit. Sorry. Man, I see it all around us. As I watch the propaganda happen and see how clearly they use a variety of methods to shame, bully people into believing and following along on a thing. But watching them do it to children in the biggest playground bully methods of all, man, that's just some kind of bullshit. Man, you just don't fuck with kids like that's just bullshit. Sorry. I'll get down off my my soapbox, man. That's just evil, is what that is. Yeah, I mean, virtue signaling. I expect that shit from adults, but doing that to kids, fuck that. All right, sorry. So yeah, Karen, when you're ready, just throw me a wave in the Skype chat, and I'll plug you in. All right. So, back to the poppycock. So we've got, again, here's one of the ways that they do it. Nobody wants to be the odd man out. And it's been shown over and over in, psychology tests and that sort of stuff that people will jump through hoops and do just about anything to be part of the group. They don't want to be cast out. So this is how polls work. You simply tell people that, 90% of people believe this. And then, again, you don't want to be the odd person out. So we got that going, which is nice. Let's see here if I can grab the lovely and talented Karen B., whom we all know and love. And hopefully we connect in a moment. All right. So, the polls come out here, and we have what? The poll of polls, I think. Yeah. CNN poll of polls. Yes. Karen, are you with us? Out here, and we have what? I got some delay. Of polls, I think. Yeah. CNN poll of polls. Yes. Karen, are you with us? Out here, and we have what? Okay. So, did we get you now? Okay. You closed the tab, right? Karen, are you with me, Karen? I don't hear you. I kind of hear some clicking in the background. I heard the tab. So I heard the show. Are you there? Are you with me?
God dang it.
Oh, no, there you are. I hear you now.
Oh, okay.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, Karen.
Hi.
I love you so much.
I'm so sorry.
No, this is actually, I actually do. I love it. This is exactly the quality of show production that I approve of. It just proves that we're not shills because we don't have we don't have those slick production values. How are you, my friend?
Oh my goodness. I'm a mess. I'm a freaking mess. I'm just gonna go ahead and own it.
But
I'm
you
a
know
mess.
what? I was thinking about you this morning. I was talking to my wife and I was going, I was like, God bless Karen B. Like, she's got 300 people now coming to this thing. And everybody is just stoked as can possibly be. And thank you. Just that I haven't even been there yet. I just want to say thank you for all your efforts or your hard work and to the amazing communication I've seen flying about. You are fucking awesome, Karen. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm sorry that I totally was late for Poppycock today.
You know
Such
what?
a co-host.
There are. What are you talking about? Rose is not even here. No, I got to give her a pat. I got to give her a.
I can't even be a substitute co-host.
Oh dear. No, but you're everywhere. I see you. Gosh, like I get so many notices, and as bad as YouTube is about sending out notices for live streams, rarely a day goes by that I don't see your name come across one of my devices saying, "Hey, psst, Gary B, she's over there." You are everywhere. You're at what? Okay, I know you do Strange World with Mark Sargent, and you do Unveiling the Realm with Brian Staley. Now, is that Thursday or I don't know?
It's Thursday.
Typically Thursday. Okay, I think I saw one on Friday. It confused me. But do you do Iron Realm Media as well? Sometimes.
Once in a while.
Okay.
I'm not regular there, but I do go there once in a while. Yeah.
Okay, and then you're on Bitches Brew. I see you there fairly regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I love that show.
Yeah,
I
that
dig
one's
it.
fun. I was trying to get that going for a while, and then it just never happened. But thank God Rose came around because Rose is really good about motivating people to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
She's a
she came around and we got it going, and so it's great. I love it.
she is a wildcat now. I mean, this is why we're here, right? Because we just kept talking. We were both up early in the morning. And we'd chat in the morning. And she's like, why don't we just do a show? I'm like, okay, what are we going to talk about? And of course, it didn't take very long to get to Poppycock. So here we are. Anything special that we need to know additional about Flattoberfest here before we continue pulling out the Poppycock from our jar?
Not really. I've already told everybody everything. I'm not doing any more additional planning now. I'm just trying to make sure that everything I have planned actually happens the way I want it to happen.
Ride the wave in. No, I got you. That's the right way to do it. One of the surest signs that a show was going to go completely off the rails back when I did like audio and tech stuff for large corporate clients was when they were continuing to try to change their script all the way up to the day of the show, including sometimes during the day. It's like, no, you really don't want to do that. It guarantee it's a recipe for disaster, and they would never listen. And guaranteed. Oh, it's funny. Okay, but we have, let's see, we have the presenters. You want to walk us through that real quick? Or do you think everybody's already heard it? Who we just sent them over the website? But
I can tell you real quick. It's a short list. It's Mark Sargent, Jason Lindgren, Bob Nodell, James True, and Mike Williams.
Cool.
Those are the speakers. And then Cammie and Zach have their exhibit, How the World Works. That will be up there. And there's going to be so much cool stuff to play with. I was at their house yesterday playing with some of it. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. That's where I'm spending most of my time, as well as in the kitchen, making some coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got that.
Also, Watson Atkinson will be there with his art table. So
Awesome.
There's going to be lots of cool stuff.
And so I'm still willing to noodle if we've got that. I didn't know quite the full status of that, but if that's still on, I'm happy to do that sort of between speakers as well. So and I know Trey Clark is coming. He'll be wanting to jam a little bit. And don't we have a musical guest, like a real musical act? Oh
yeah, One Big Glove. I didn't put them on the website. I probably should have, but there was 9 squares and it looked so nice. I just left it.
I have that OC thing as well. So, yes, it bugs me to come up with something weird. All right, we'll keep. So, again, folks, if you have not yet got your tickets, I think there's still space available. You can still make it to Flatoberfest. That's coming up this weekend. And you can meet all your friends and tribe. We'll all get together and have a fabulous time. And, of course, there is Friday afternoon. There is a meetup there at the park as well. And just go to the website and you can find out more about that. So we'll go back to our poppycock here. Flip over here. We've got, yes, of course, now we've got Neil Disgrace Tyson, who is one of the biggest clown shows. So along with Bill Nye, the Shillin guy or whatever. Now he's saying an asteroid could hit Earth the day before election. So
Yeah, that's hilarious. I've been joking about that for the last day and a half, I think.
that's awesome, isn't it? Yeah. So, of course, we know that there's nothing going to be coming from the reaches of outer space, this second law of thermodynamics violation that is supposed to be a 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum. It's poppycock. Yeah, exactly. But yes, he's warning us that we might get hit with this. Now, I certainly think that they may try to pull one out of the hat as they do with a lot of things, just like the quote alien disclosure sort of thing. This was one of the things on the list from Werner von Braun that they would try to have a space force for or weaponized spaces to deflect asteroids. And he said clearly that and the aliens and all the other stuff was just a deception. It was all lies. Well, that's pretty much what we've come to expect is lies.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go
And
ahead.
the day before the election, too. Come on. That's
Yeah. Nothing to see here. The timing couldn't be, more. It is just such, I mean, it's such nonsense, Karen. I just am in astonishment at what people will actually buy. And they just look at it as though it's like, it's
Yeah.
like not even plausible. And people just eat it up.
Yeah. Well, and they're also going to that asteroid, another asteroid.
Yeah,
to find
Benunu.
out
Yeah.
if it's
Yeah, but Benunu or whatever it is. I had that up here. Yes, Benu. There we go. Scientists are thrilled. Oh God, there's a whole list of poppycock that comes out of NASA pretty much on the daily. So they're now going to use 3D printing for Mars. So, irrespective of the fact that we're not there, and of course we'll never go there, but they've got that. We've got a 4G mobile network coming to the moon. So we got that. Nokia has been tapped to put 4G mobile network on the moon. Again, irrespective of the fact that nobody's there. I just can't with these people, man. It's like, why not 5G? Come on. I mean, it's so important, right, for all that fast downloading of movies. Yes. So a water measuring payload on the moon. NASA selects a partner to land water measuring payload on the moon. Yes. Oh, here we go. NASA astronaut aboard space station to answer questions from student. Good.
one student.
Yeah, I know. It's like, oh my God, that is such big news. Never in the history of the International Fake Station have they taken questions, pre-written questions, badly read by students. And now we got one student. He's going to ask a question. Oh my God, that's big news out of NASA. So, yeah, they got to go to Guinness Book of World Records.
I
Pardon?
think it's possible that they have spent so much effort trying to dumb everybody down that the AI is getting dumbed down and putting out dumber stories every day.
Absolutely. No, because you want to, I mean, every time you do a presentation or teaching, you always want to consider your target audience, and you must put things in a way that they're going to grasp and comprehend it. And so primarily what I see is that they do target in a way that it's like 8 IQ points above what they think their target audience is. So they sound just a little bit smarter. Just enough that they'll go, yeah, okay, well, they said it. And it seems to work. Again, it's remarkable to me. I just, I have a really difficult time when I look around and just see these glazed, just the fluoride stare. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Just, there's no one home. And, as we continue to do research into the results of these tests that show that not only a good number, but like a majority of college students now have no internal dialogue. I still have trouble wrapping my head around that. I've been looking through the methodology of it. It all seems appropriate. I don't know what to make of it, Karen. The world has gone bananas. So we got that going, which is nice. So much so that, again, we have fact check. Did Dr. Fauci say no mask like Trump is claiming? They go through an entire article here, flip-flopping and going around in circles to try to say, no, he didn't say that when he clearly said that. So it's pretty interesting stuff. It's very similar to what we saw. And again, if I ever talk about politics, it's only that I'm just talking about the show, right? Consider this WWE wrestling with just different outfits for quite some time. So it is just part of the show. But we've got the Biden boy with his laptops. And, Twitter and Facebook shut down the feed of another mainstream media outlet, New York Post, to prevent the spread of that story. And it's just, again, I just look at it and say the whole thing is in your face. That they're telling you that they're not afraid to shut down a media outlet if they don't like the narrative. So they're certainly going to shut you down. You have no recourse if you say anything against the narrative. And it couldn't be more clear that it's all about the narrative. It's not about truth. It's about the narrative they want to present. And there's not even a patina of legitimacy anymore. They're pretty upfront about it. It's it's remarkable to me.
Pretty much just, you can see one thing happening and they're sitting there telling you, they're peeing on your leg and telling you it's raining and everybody's believing it.
Yep. Well, because they're going to get in trouble. I mean, it's sort of like everybody knows it's not, but you have to pretend that it is, right? Or you're not going to be one of the cool kids. So it is, again, pretty remarkable to me how lame people are. And on the other hand, then we have our group, right? The Truthling tribe, who is doing just remarkable things. The amount of effort and research and time spent going through this stuff, and the slings and arrows that folks like yourself, Crow 777, Jason Lindgren, others put into revealing what is under the hood. Again, there's more than I've ever seen in my lifetime. People who are beginning to question things at some level, going, "Hey, wait a minute." So I don't know that, we're, I guess I'm less sanguine than some that there's going to be this overwhelming, flip of the tables, this great awakening that everybody is going to be awake, but certainly enough to be encouraging at this point. It certainly it'll change the nature of things. There's no question to that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So, let's see what else I had going on here. So we have, this is more, these are just more nonsense cranany stories. I mean, it just gets so preposterous. Here we have the U.S. staring down a substantial third wave of cases. I don't even know that there's been a second wave to follow what wasn't the first. I recently just this last week, saw from the CDC Canada how the entire number of flu cases in all of Canada had dropped to 6 cases in the entire country this year, going down from over 14,000 last year. So I guess we've cured the flu.
Of course. Oh, this reminds me of a video that I watched late last night. I don't know if you follow Ice Age Farmer, but he put out a video last night that it was like, it could have been on the PoppyCock Report, the whole thing, because he's talking about how now they're not calling coronavirus a pandemic. Now they're calling it a syndemic.
What? A syndemic?
Seriously. Look up. It's SYN-demic, a syndemic. And basically, he was talking about how they're saying that there's so many things in the world affecting people that it's a syndemic now. And it's the combination of the the rampant obesity, it's diabetes, poor diet, and people's exposure to air pollution, the climate changing,
poverty, stress,
syndemic. And the coronavirus is exacerbating all of it. That's what it is.
Oh, that coffee's fucking delicious. So I'm looking at this synergistic epidemic, the aggregation of two or more concurrent or sequential epidemics or disease clusters in a population with biological interactions, which exacerbate the prognosis or burden of the disease. What I'm wondering, health disparity, poverty, stress, what's the structural violence? That sounds like a made-up word. A term commonly ascribed to John Galtung, violence, peace, and peace research, a form of violence where some social structure, social institution may harm people by preventing. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's just bullshit.
Wait. It said the term was made by Meryl Singer. If you go back to that syndemic.
Oh, I was talking about the structural violence. That term was
Meryl Singer. Would that be any relation to, like, I don't know, Margaret Singer?
Oh, that's Sanger, Margaret Sanger.
Oh, okay.
So she's past tense. We got Singer and then
Sanger. Okay.
Right? Yeah, she
Thank
sang.
you for that.
But yeah, so now we've gone from the twindemic, as Wayne McCroy, Alchemical Tech Revolution, has pointed out several times that they've been calling it a twindemic with the Cranani and the flu put together as a kind of a whirlwind of pathogenic activity. But now we have syndemic, so we've got even more going on. This is great. I love it. If they haven't terrified you enough, we got it now, a syndemic. When you first said it, I thought it was like S-I-N-demic, and I expected Pat Robertson to show up.
Yeah. When he was saying that word, I was like, what does that even mean? And he's like, what does it mean? Right when I said that, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about that. And
then I was like, you got to be kidding me. So now they're saying because everybody's in such poor health and then, that's why coronavirus is affecting everybody.
Well, it turns out that was what Sanjay Gupta, that was his answer, again, to the CDC having revised their numbers, saying that there was an average of 2.5 different comorbidities that went with each of the categorized pandemic, quote, deaths so far in 2020. So that there was at least, an average of 2.5, between, I guess it was 2.6, but just over 2.5 comorbidities related. And so if you went to just the ones that had no other comorbidity other than the COVID-19, it was 4%. And every one of those was more than octogenarian. So they were 80 years old or older, which is typically the time that you expect people to start dropping off for one reason or another. So certainly they'd be immunocompromised and have complications. So when they changed that and said now it's 4%, and when that got published again, the fact checkers came out and went, no, it's not. No, well, it's right there. I mean, you can't do math. And so his interpretation of it was, well, at this point, this is what Sanjay Gupta said on CNN. At this point, most Americans, and he quoted something like 60+%. I don't remember the exact number, but it was more than 60% of Americans have chronic disorders. So he's essentially saying that everybody's got 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot on a banana peel. Right. So that's their excuse, is that, well, everybody's dying. So, we just did one more thing to kill you, which to me came off as an indictment of the entire allopathic medical system in toto. Right, which is okay. So by introducing GMOs and shitty pharmaceuticals that are petroleum based, that if you ask any honest pharmacist, they will tell you that nearly every medication they dispense, the actual mechanism is unknown. It's clearly stated unknown. They know that it has an effect that's notable in a certain percentage of patients who take that versus a placebo. So it basically everything is a side effect, both positive and negative. But yeah, any honest pharmacist will tell you that.
Yeah, that's the definition of allopathy, basically, is to basically produce the different effects of whatever is ailing you. It's just trying to get different effects.
Yeah.
It's not about healing or anything like that,
absolutely,
or telling you how to take care of yourself. It's just about changing the effects of whatever effects you're feeling at the moment.
Yes, it's symptom management, basically, symptomatic management. And you're just kind of doing this dance. So knowing that when you give medications, it's going to create other ones. And so you have to treat those. And it's a profit-making formula, really. I mean, yeah, it's like instead of repairing the car, we just do something else you can't hear the noise that it's making.
Right.
That's pretty much...
see something like that, like what they're talking about with to giving you this endemic and telling, and we already know that you have to eat right. You have to take care of your body to be healthy, to be able to avoid these symptoms of being sick, right? We already know that. But so now the thing about what he was saying is that instead of, you know, that being they're sort of taking information we already know, where we're pointing it out and to say that it's not a big deal, but they're taking that information and turning it into, well, since you guys don't know how to feed yourselves and you don't know how to take care of yourselves, we're going to take complete control over the food supply now. We're
Hmm.
going to stop investing in this type of food production, and we're going to start, we're going to get rid of farming and that disease-ridden industry. And now we're going to go over here to um, more controllable farming foods, where they want to invest in making mass foods from insects and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So they're trying the way that they were spinning it, and the stuff that he was showing is that they were using that as a reason for them to take even more control over the food supply, and control over what we take into our bodies and ingest on a regular basis.
Yeah, and you gotta love this from the U.S. UCSD San Diego Biological Services comes. There's nothing natural about farming.
Yeah. How insane.
Yeah,
How insane.
they are insane. And then I was just pulling up another one there have been numerous stories throughout the last few months that don't be misled. Diet can't boost your immune system. What? What? What did
Yeah.
you say? Oh, I mean, and again, people buy this shit. That's the part that just really, really blows my mind, Karen, is that not only are they just ridiculous enough to say it, but people, and a wide majority of people go, okay. Oh, didn't you hear? You can't boost your immune system with diet. That's retarded. Now, give me some of
Yeah.
that Diet Coke.
Give me
No
some of that
sugar in it.
mad tea.
It's got no sugar. It's going to be good. Yeah, give me a cold beer. All right. Sorry. I went to Corpus Christi, Texas for a minute. I'm back now. Yeah. So this is an amusing one. So this is I've got the map up. I don't know if you're watching here, but I've got the news map that Rose 777 has graced us with, showing this stuff. I love this. There's been a back and forth going on between Donald Trump and Nancy Pelosi in their wrestling ring over a coronavirus relief package, a stimulus package, and as a result, they're blaming one another for it not going through. Now they're both saying they want something bigger, so they can't they can't pass it because that's not big enough. No, mine's bigger. No, mine's bigger. Mine's bigger.
Oh my gosh.
It's retarded. Sorry, I don't mean to be offensive with that, but one of the things I did notice is fairly interesting, and I got it hipped from the tip by Paul Romano, who does Pockets of the Future, and he showed a little clip from Wolf Blitzer, pretty much throwing Nancy Pelosi into the bus, and she was actually in shock that he wasn't giving her the standard lefty red carpet treatment with the softball questions. He was kind of giving her a hard time about, hey, $2.2 trillion. That's more than our tax revenue. Why not just start there? And she's stunned that he's not giving her the chance just to go Trump bad. That's then they just kind of go back and forth. It's pretty remarkable. I saw over the last couple of days a variety, and I mean, there are hours of it if you really just have the temerity to stick through it, which I did not. Hours of footage going back as far as late 1970s, but certainly the 1988 presidential election cycle, where Joe Biden first ran for office, in which he was dumped off the campaign trail for blatant plagiarism, as well as numerous lies that he was caught in. And, he angrily retorts that, well, I did some dumb stuff. So he kind of copped to it. But in every case, so every election cycle, the media had already chosen who they wanted to support. And when Biden wasn't it, they went after him. Even as recently as 2016 election, when they had tapped HRC as their presumptive candidate and bypassing Bernie Sanders, they dumped him out as being kind of like a crazy old uncle who inappropriately touches children, and showing some of those clips that we've seen. So as recently as 2016, there's hours of this news footage indicating the truth of the fact that these are horrible people, and yet they're behind him now and even defend him from some of the same accusations that they had made themselves. And people have no memory. It's like Men in Black, right? The neuralizer.
Yeah, the flashy thingy.
Yeah, flashy thingy. That's right. I love it. The people just seem to they're counting on them to have a short memory, that they don't remember these things. I saw a thing on the interwebs, on social media, I don't know, last day or so, and somebody was showing, there's a new report talking about microwave or audio attacks at the U.S. Embassy in Cuba. And they're saying, they're recycling a story. They did this a few years ago. Well, not only did they do it a few years ago, in fact, there were specific reports of exactly that thing, which is unknown audio attacks on the U.S. Embassy in Cuba from 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016, 2015, and 2014. In every year that they'd made the same reports as though it was new. And I'm like, but don't stop there. You can go all the way back. And I had remembered some from the Soviet Embassy in the 1980s. So he's like, really? I'm like, yeah. And so when I went to look that up, I found that not only that, but I had forgotten there was actually one from the Soviet Embassy in 1962 and 63 specific to microwave radiation. They were microwaving them. And that story has been reused as many times as them growing lettuce for the first time in space for the, I think, 13th time.
Yeah.
If you dig through that one, it's more difficult now because they've scrubbed a lot of stuff. But it is still out there that they have claimed to grow lettuce in space for the first time about 13 times, I think.
Yeah. I know I've seen them do it quite a few times.
How many? Do you know any other stories off the top of your head that they've done this sort of like recycle the same story as though it were new and genuine?
As far as the ISS, like with the lettuce thing?
Well, no, just any story. Sort of like again, they were talking about the audio attacks, right? Those mysterious audio attacks at the U.S. Embassy in Florida. Somebody in chat says water on Mars. Yeah, that's one where they recycled that story that they found water on Mars, indicating there could have been life.
Ice on the moon.
Pardon?
Ice on the moon.
Yep, ice on the moon. Recently they keep pushing the atmosphere out further and further, so we got that one going for us, which is nice. And Chad, any other stories like that you can recall, just kind of off the top of your head, where they keep recycling them over and over and over? I mean, we have certainly between Iran and North Korea, they're suddenly popping up with, they're going to launch missiles at us. I got one. How about all the airlines and post offices are going out of business? Oh, yeah, they do that one over and over and over, too. Absolutely. There's a whole bunch of these stories. They just keep the, again, the fear porn going. And
the asteroid that's coming to
asteroid
hit us.
is coming, absolutely. And then the possibility for UFO disclosure. They keep throwing that one out.
Yeah. And they're always finding another planet. We found another planet like Earth.
Exactly. Or it rains diamonds.
Yeah.
Or Uranus smells like farts and throws out gas. They always come up with the fart jokes there. They keep that one going over and over. And of course, celebrity deaths. They like to throw that one out there. So again, it's just a script that gets recycled over and over and over. And then, of course, they throw out interesting things like Florida Man trope. Here we have Florida Man accused of using Kool-Aid packet to steal nearly $1,000 in Walmart merchandise. So we got that going for us, $994 worth of merchandise. So he used a Kool-Aid packet for that. and I'm sure bashed through a wall on his way. So we got that going. So Florida man, always doing crazy things. One of the things I keep following just because it shows up over and over, and it just sort of came out of nowhere as I was looking through articles and looking for certain things that kind of they appeared to be kind of unusual and out of place, like little small town stories that somehow made national and international news. It just didn't seem to go together. And of course, you always find those numbers that show up, those lovely numbers, 33, 11, 22, 9, 11, all that sort of stuff. 322, 223, so embezzlement sort of showed up out of nowhere. So I started following this, and of course, I can find now pretty much more than 100 on every day that appear from the last week, usually within the last few hours. And previously it had said former something something embezzlement. Something. And now it has gone to about embezzling and the amount. Right, so it's changing now to these things, and some of them are fairly small amounts, and again in small towns. So it seems really odd. So we have women accused of embezzling more than 900,000. There's 287,000. Woman pleads guilty. Embezzlement. New audit. Kentucky City make changes after suspected embezzlement. More embezzlement. Of course, former Boyne Falls village clerk charged with embezzlement. $100,000. Detroit Lions and Casino. $400,000, $2.8 million. That's a pretty good one. Former Clovis police officer found guilty of embezzlement. So they continue again with these little bitty things, and they become picked up on the newswire. And again, that would seem to be something maybe standard, but again, mission wear, accused of embezzling more than $40,000. She might plead guilty. So I've seen a number of these notes with the amount now, embezzlement, the amount, and guilty. Right, so they plead guilty. So it seems to me, again, I haven't yet cracked the code of understanding exactly what's going on. But some of the names are interesting that they use, and certainly the numbers are always compelling. Anyway, just interesting things I'm keeping my eye on. I'm looking for other patterns that develop as well, because I think this is some kind of means of communication. There's something in here, but I haven't quite figured out yet. But there's something in there.
Like there's a cipher embedded in these news stories or something?
Yeah, exactly. That there's, if you know, if you're in the know, right, and you say, okay, this is the thing you're looking for. You're looking for stories about this. Like one of the first ones that I caught, Karen, was a story that appeared, and it would have appeared to have been local, just a kind of a local news, because it happened in Washington. Well, it actually happened in Oregon, but it was a youth pastor and a kid from a church camp out that the youth pastor tried to save the kid from drowning, and they both died. Okay, sad story. But it was just the way that the article was written was really weird, and of course it popped out at me that the guy was 33 years old and the kid was 11. Okay, that jumped out. So I was like, okay, that's weird. And so I started looking a little further, and the name of the church just sounded kind of weird. And so I looked at the church website, and it was one of those that could have been done on, WordPress in probably 10 minutes. There really wasn't a lot of information there, not anything that you would expect to find on an actual church website page. I mean, literally 10 minutes worth of work would do that. And there wasn't any information hardly at all, just really super basic stuff. But it gave an address, and I looked, and there did appear to be an old church there, like it just didn't look kempt. Right, it didn't look like the grass was kind of. So I was like, this is just kind of weird. And I passed it to a couple other people, and then I started seeing it. And then in the next 24 hours, it showed up in international news, all the way to Africa, in the India press, the Indian news, in South China news. Tiny. I mean, the town that they came from was probably, I think it was populated less than 10,000. So how in the world does that come up in international news? And it was just the way that the story was presented and written was just super odd. And then I found a couple of more like that. And when I started looking for this pattern of unusually written stories, and it would have things in the title, right? In that case, I think it was, I don't remember the exact thing, but it was, there was one that came up later about a farmer that said, farmer strangled nurse. Okay, well, and they found the body, but there was something about he buried her. He buried her, he raped her, buried her, strangled her, and nurse. Right? These things appeared in the title, but they were missing a whole bunch. I mean, they never did mention in the headline any of these stories that he'd actually killed her. Well, of course he killed her because they found the body, right? But he buried her, he strangled her. And raped her. She's a nurse. He's a farmer. And it was just really odd. And he had a really strange name, too. And so it was like, okay, there's something odd going on here. And so this is the pattern that I started seeing develop. And now I've seen it more and more. And embezzlement was one that just showed up out of nowhere. And I noticed for the first week or so that I noted them, they all appeared as someone, like there was a former something, embezzlement something, and amount. And it was like, it was just a weird, they all felt very poorly written, but again, as though it was trying to get your attention if you were in the know. Hey, look for this headline. And then there's information in there. So again, I would suspect that they would have some sort of algorithm, or, you could just drag it and put it into a little desktop app or something. It would take the certain words out, or it has something buried in the code, right? The HTML code underneath it that would be easy to pull out. You can do that easily with photographs. You can put all kinds of code within the packaging of the way that they package the image, like in a JPEG. You can embed code in there. So I would suspect it would work.
Metadata type stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. So that's my suspicion when I see these sorts of things that are almost intentionally poorly written. And you go, okay, AI or whatever, but the information is not always clear. The story itself doesn't make sense, but they're using specific set of words that would draw your attention to it. And I think if you were in the know and had the tools, there's probably something that's my working hypothesis at the moment. It's a means for them to kind of pass information back and forth right out in the open.
Yes.
And it bypasses all kind, no scrutiny, because, I am just surfing the net for news. But it does appear, that's one of the biggest tips, is small, nothing stories get picked up in international news. So I look for the Times of India. I look for South China News, that sort of thing, to see when these little tiny articles that should be nothing appear there. And that's where I got tipped on to the first story about the drowning, and then the farmer and the nurse, and then embezzlement. All those met that criteria, that they were small town stories. They got picked up because the first one on embezzlement was a former daycare center employee embezzled like $33,000, and I'm like, okay, okay, yeah. So yeah, that one stuck out like the sore thumb. So I was kind of like, yeah, all right. And then I just started seeing all these embezzlement stories that were written with the same headline: former something something. And then an amount, right? And then now it's again, now if I look at it, it's somebody. And guilty, usually, right? So here we have online retail ex-legal boss gets 3 to 9 years. 9 years for embezzlement, right? So we have that sentenced to prison for embezzlement. Former Iowa daycare director sentenced to prison for theft of more than $110,000. 2 former Alta Dart employees move on after fraud cases dropped. Maine man accused of embezzling nearly $2.8 million from employer. Former Kern law librarian charged with 70 felony embezzlement counts. And so it's, again, we still see the former. I see the number, but now there's something about a case, right? Previously, they weren't really mentioning like guilty verdicts. A former CU employee pleads not guilty to embezzlement, right? So we still have the former embezzlement, and then now we have the charge, not guilty, or they say guilty or sentenced, or here's former Nashville executive. There's a former sentence, ordered to pay over $1 million for embezzlement. Right? You see what these all have in common. Hoover Burger King manager arrested for embezzlement, arson. That was one that was kind of interesting. But we have local woman charged for embezzling over $150,000. So again, now the words have changed. Like the key words on the title have changed. So we have former employee of Giant Snacks indicted on embezzlement charge. Right. So now we still have the former embezzlement and the indicted. There's this other thing. So it's interesting to watch it develop. So these are some that, again, when I see this certain pattern begin to develop, that's what I'm looking for. Sorry, I went blah, blah, blah. I've had like 4 cups of coffee this morning. Can you tell?
2 Arabs working for a bank face court for embezzlement.
Yeah. So it is Here we have Nashville firm's ex-leader gets 35 months for embezzlement. So we have, again, former and the guilty verdict. Man who embezzled nearly $800,000 from Santa Clara Swim Club faces more than 5 years in prison. So we have a charge there. Philadelphia City Treasurer Christian Dunbar fired over embezzlement sham marriage allegations. Suspected embezzlement reported at Dollar General store. Why is that in the news? Dollar General? Really? Let's just take a look at that one from the Greenville Sun. Interesting. I can't get past it here. No, it's not going to let me.
A lot of embezzlement going on.
A lot of again, either a lot of embezzlement suddenly out of nowhere, right, or there's something else going on. It just seems, again, it seemed unusual to me, yes, to suddenly see literally hundreds of embezzlement stories. It just doesn't jibe with everything else going on that these would suddenly be such a popular story. One of the ones that I caught about 2 years ago was a sudden, and of course I was looking at it in a different way, was a sudden rash of banker suicides. That there were guys working in an international banking, usually at a low, mid-level executive or just at the bottom of the upper tier, some vice president, but mostly middle management that would either be under investigation or they would, or some love life issue or personal issue, and they would suddenly cap themselves. Seemed very unusual, and there was a rash of them for a period of 7 or 8 months. There was 150 some that I tracked. All over the world. Seemed, of course, I was tracking it down then as there was something unusual going on in the banking community. They were tracking something down, and people were being offed. Well, that's probably the case, but still, the rash of these kind of headlines that all appear out of nowhere and get carried in international news. That's the one. That's the criteria now for me, is seeing these little groups that appear. Hey, Mark W., thank you for that super chat.
Remember
Appreciate it.
a few years ago when all the doctors, all the natural health doctors were
Homeopathic and naturopathic doctors, yes, were getting offed.
Yeah, there was a bunch of them. There was like 60 of them. And actually, the first one started here in North Carolina.
Really?
It was Rutherfordton. It was that doctor who was working with autistic children, and he was the one that was saying like mercury was causing autism, or Nagelese, like when that whole thing came out.
Right.
And then he was the first one, and then subsequently, like at least 60, if I remember that, we were following that story for a while. Doctors had these suspicious deaths.
Yep. Yeah, and of course, we see regularly investigative journalists. Of course, I'd say less so over the past decade or so. That's we expect that sort of thing. That you see investigative journalists who come upon something, and then end up suddenly disappearing. The last one I can recall that was a fairly big one was the guy working on the documentary, and then his whole family got suicided, and it was so very clearly suicided, right? That it was just like, again, almost as if they were making a statement saying, "Don't."
Is that the gray state? That's the gray state.
That's the one. Yep, you got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this, because I'm thinking about that, and just tell me what you think about this thought that I just had pop into my head. If, in the past we had all the doctors, that were getting the natural doctors that got killed. And then we have this, and then a few years later, now we have this huge pandemic. Now, then you have all what you're talking about with the bankers.
Yep.
That's happening. And we clearly see them going for changing the money system. They have to change the money system. They're pushing communism. So it seems to me like they were strategically taking certain people out, possibly to move forward with their plan and to have as little resistance as possible from the beginning, even though they're still getting it.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
That's been them sort of paving the way for their actions.
Yeah, I agree completely with that, Karen. Is that they would take out specific people that would be any kind of resistance to it. And there's a lot of speculation, and it certainly seems that there's a foundation for that speculation. That one of the many things that happened with the sinking of the Titanic, including getting rid of its sister ship, the Olympic, which was damaged in an insurance fraud, but which was also taking out Astor and other rich folks who would have been against, and in fact, were openly against the idea of the Federal Reserve Bank. And they were themselves bankers, but they were against it because they were private bankers, and they didn't want, that kind of control over them. They wanted to make money as well. And so those who were in on it, everybody was scheduled on that, and a few of them backed out, of course, at the last minute, so as not to be on that ill-fated voyage. But there is a good deal of speculation about that as well. So if you're interested in that, you can certainly do some research, and it's pretty easy to find these days. Some of the stories are wilder than others, and I strongly recommend this with all things, to use good discernment. Eat the meat, throw away the bones. Just kind of put it in your pocket and go, I don't necessarily go, posting to social media going, hey, did you know? I always resist the idea of, especially before you can vet it yourself, simply stating things as though they're fact, because it will tend to make you look poorly if you if you have a tendency to misstate things or put things out there that are demonstrably either false or overstated. So again, we are the truth community, so we definitely want to hold to that. So do good homework, do good research, but that's certainly something there's an enormous amount of very interesting evidence for, is the sinking of the Titanic. If you hadn't looked into that as one of the major false flags. I don't know if you're aware of this, but in the hours following the initial reports of the sinking of the Titanic, it was reported by several newspapers, major newspapers, that only a few people had died, and nearly all of them were saved. Until about 2 or 3 days later, that story changed, and they were saying that there was great loss of life. So I found that interesting as well.
That is interesting. But, that's also something that's happened. Well, I guess I haven't noticed it recently in the past couple of years because I stopped watching mainstream news. But one thing that I did notice over the years when I did watch news, if like some big news story was happening, and the one that I noticed it like in your face was when back in 2011 or 2010 or whatever, when they supposedly went and raided the compound and shot Obama bin Laden.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I don't remember when that whole thing was going down.
They dumped his body
at
at sea. It's like,
five times in the first 24 hours.
Yep.
Like they kept saying, no, this happened, and the timeline was changing, and it just stunk of BS like the whole time.
From the get-go, yeah.
I was like, there's no way this is right. How come how do they say that they went and they found this dude and then it's all done? And then and they're saying that it was all done within the last 24 hours. And now they have this whole 3D animation showing you how they did it and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no.
Yeah. And then they have, of course, the dramatic photographs of Obama and HRC in the Situation Room, looking intently, like, supposedly watching it in real time. And of course, that came out that was absolutely fabricated, not at all true. And yet, again, they continue with the narrative, and they'll still show you that photograph as being evidence of it. If anybody, even a third grader, would go, and they dumped the body at sea, they just buried him at sea. Okay. Supposedly the world's most wanted criminal that they've been going after for 12 plus years, and they finally get him, and then of course they shoot him, and we're just going to dump his body. We took a couple of pictures.
Exactly.
It's preposterous that anybody should believe that. It's like, you really, these guys, you're going to trust these guys, really? And this is what I just don't understand about people who buy the narrative, especially from mainstream media, when there's very clear conflicts of interest with all the folks, especially during this current, quote, pandemic, where the people who are selling you the narrative and saying you must do all these things and you must have a vaccine are the same ones selling the vaccine. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Really, are you this dumb in your personal life when people try to sell you, used cars and stuff? Do you really go for this? Apparently, it's mind blowing. I have a hard time with it, and I struggle. I got to be honest, Karen. I really do struggle to keep my sense of compassion and caring for people when they not only intentionally follow this stuff, but then they want to fight about it, and they want to tell you how stupid you are, right?
Yeah.
For not believing the mainstream narrative, and you just shake your head and go, really? Like, really? And so I got to tell you, I do struggle sometimes, just trying to remember, right, that they are under a spell. But it's real hard when they're one to punch you.
Yeah, I have the same problem. I'm sure a lot of us do. But it gets crazy. I even have these arguments with I have a son that's 16 and he lives with his father. And he's literally told me that he thinks I'm batshit crazy because I think the earth is flat.
Wow.
And it's like, wow, my own son who I had talked to about this early on when he was younger and I was having really good conversations with him. Well, then he went to go live with his dad, who's like blue pilled, and now he's back to telling me that I'm crazy. My own son.
Ouch. Well,
So,
I got to tell you that, my kids, I haven't, they know my proclivities.
yeah.
And my daughter is a school teacher. And so, but she humors me most of the time. I don't think that I have expressly told them that I consider the cosmology not what we're told it is. But I certainly have made explicitly clear that pretty much everything that we have been taught is not as described. Right, and I'm like very clear on everything, if I just sat down and just, again, if I just said, "And the world is flat," they'd probably go, "What, Dad, Dad, really?" But they'd all, I think, they would also, knowing me, they'd be going, there's got to be some kind of evidence because they know the kind of person that I am, right? I'm very cautious about things that I believe and make statements about, right? That I'm much more, I have much stronger proclivities toward being, again, fairly cautious about making statements of positive fact. I don't do it very often unless I'm really sure. They would, I'm sure, have to take that under advisement. But whether or not they would really look into it on their own, hard to say, really. But they're both pretty good at humoring me.
Yeah. Well, the sad part is that he has asthma, and I'm trying to tell him not to wear a mask, and he doesn't believe me. He says, "No, Mom, I'm gonna get sick if I don't wear a mask. It could really make me sick.
Oh, that's gotta hurt like really bad, huh?
It kills me.
Oh man, yeah.
It's had me in tears. I'm not gonna lie."
No, I get it. I talk to people frequently who, they're having trouble in their marriages and their personal relationships and family, that they're really at odds over this stuff, especially as the media, continues to polarize us. It's pretty challenging. So, I struggle with that. My heart goes out to people. I mean, my wife has not always been, of course, on board with all my stuff, but we care about each other a great deal, and we have a good deal of respect for one another. So we don't typically argue about those things. We just agree that we see it differently. We also respect that we can see it differently. That's all good, but she has gone from sort of like my kids sort of humoring me to seeing that much of what I say, there's evidence for. Right. So she's on board with a good deal more of it now, having come to her own conclusions, watching it play out. Right. And so that's a very positive. And but either way, even when on stuff that we didn't, and still don't agree on, we don't fight about it, because that's one beautiful thing about real love. Right. Is that it has acceptance for that. It has grace for seeing things differently. And I try to, comport to that in the world around me. That it's okay for people to have different beliefs. The difficulty comes when they don't believe that, right? That they insist that you believe as they do. That's the struggle for me.
Yeah, that's one thing. Yeah, with like all the liberals who want you to be so tolerant of all their BS, but they don't tolerate
Anything, anything but their own
your
views, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you're intolerant if you don't accept theirs, but they won't tolerate yours. Yours are intolerable.
Right.
The hypocrisy knows no bounds. And again, I don't get caught up in the political stuff, but certainly those on the hard political left are, to me, oh man, they're very difficult to deal with. They are brainwashed in a way that is remarkable for me to look at. And there are a dozen people or so that I know that I actually know them IRL, but on Facebook and that sort of stuff. Whenever they drop some news article, I know that is they're going to be the first ones to virtue signal, shout how loudly, right? What they know about it, and they're for everything from Russia to they always have something to say about it, and I would unfollow them except for it sort of helps me keep an eye on how crazy things get. But sometimes I just shake my head and go, wow, right? Like just wow. And the amount of emotional energy that people invest into stuff that really doesn't affect them at all. Right? It wouldn't affect them other than if it were, that they're following the news. Beyond that, it would have no personal effect on them whatsoever. It's amazing to see.
Yeah.
Well, here's a great way to start our day. I hope we can. I hate to end on a downer note, and it is well past the top of the hour now, and time for me to go spend time with my lovely bride. But Karen, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I'm so glad that you made it. I can tell that you're still a little sleepy-eyed, but I love you for making it. I love it that you joined in.
Yeah. I apologize for being late. I am so sorry.
No. You don't ever have to apologize to me for that. I'm so glad that you came. So thank you again so much. And thanks for everybody for joining us this morning. We had quite a crowd this morning, and I appreciate you coming. Appreciate the super chats. It's been a delightful time to spend with you. I know it's a little hard turn, a little bit different than our usual Poppycock hour. But again, that's part of having different guests and taking a look at different things and stuff for everybody to consider, right? Take a look at what you see around you. And I think these are things that we all think about, is how to deal with those around us who we care about, but they seem to care more about the narrative even than people around them. And how do we manage that within ourselves? Because ultimately, I think most of us agree that this is not just about the narrative. It really is a spiritual battle, and we're caught up in it. It really is the best thing you can do. It's difficult to change the world around you, but you can change it's difficult to change the world, rather, but you can change the world around you by manifesting love and compassion in your personal sphere of influence. So with that, again, thanks everybody for joining us this morning. Karen, I will bid you adieu and hope that everybody comes and joins us. Do you want to say anything more about Flattoberfest before we go, or you content to just say hit flattoberfest.com or?
Just, go to flattoberfest.com if you have any questions or you want to get tickets. It's this coming Saturday in Greenville. There's a meetup the Friday before. I have information for the meetup for the Friday before also on the website. Everything is there to get you there. So just go check it out and join us. We're going to have a blast.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Karen. And thank you for all the work that you've done and continue to do to get us all together there. I am super, super excited to meet the folks and make coffee for you. And so with that, again, join us. Don't forget to join us on this coming Thursday. Rose 777 will be back on Rose 777 2.0 channel. I think we're still there for the PoppyCock Report as we continue bringing the Poppycock to you. So with that, have a great day. I'll be back this weekend with Unintended Consequences. I have a pre-recorded show on Saturday, and then I'm still trying to figure out what to do on Sunday for Ancient Wisdom and Sola Scriptura. So with that, we'll bid you adieu and hope to see you again on Thursday. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
1, 2, 3. Cocks don't pop at all, poppycock cocks do poppy by four. And that's why all the folks on poppycock keep poppycocks in a jar. But once I met a girl on poppycock back in the poppycock hills, they won't let me back on poppycock, reckon they never will. Well, poppycock, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old poppycock, poppycock, you and me, Rose and Baldini. The earth don't spin at all on poppycock, flatter than a hot roadkill. And beer don't stick to balls on poppycock, reckon it never will. Once I met two folks on poppycock, one bald, the other likes cats. She wild as a rosy, quicker than a satellite, no poppycock about that. Well, poppycock, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old poppycock, poppycock, you and me, Rose and Baldini. Take it, Trey. Poppycock ain't no poppycock pins. You might just find yourself on Poppycock, waking with a Poppycock kin. And Poppycock, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old Poppycock, Poppycock, you and me. Rose and Baldini, why so freaking early? Poppycock, you and me.